Hey everybody, Ace General Liam here and welcome back to my series where I'm going through the 8 Pokemon regions, working my way across the Pokemon world or universe I suppose, and I'm going through my top 10 favourite Pokemon from each of those regions. You guys have been really enjoying the series so far and it really shows down in the comments where you're all explaining like your favourite Pokemon from each of the regions and what each of those Pokemon means to you. It's been really interesting and it's even taught me a few things about Pokemon that I hadn't even considered for some of these lists. If you are enjoying the series, of course, let's go for a little cheeky like goal. Let's go for 1,000 likes on this video. I'm sure we can achieve it. Yeah, hopefully. If you're new, hit subscribe and then maybe we'll have even more people here aiming for a like goal that we may or may not hit. And don't forget, until December 26th, you can use code ACE to get yourself 30% off GFUEL. And today is... oh, it's grape. I actually forgot what I'd made myself, but I've made myself grape. I want some more actually, it's quite good. Code ACE, 30% off till December 26th. 2019, just in case you're watching this like 3 years from now and you're like,
it's not 30 today!
Today we're going to be looking at the Unova region, loosely based off New York. Well, not loosely, it's really blatantly based off New York. It's a wonderful region, but also a controversial one because of the way it introduced the new Pokemon at the time, and a lot of the designs are either really loved by people or really hated by people, and then slowly but surely, over the years, we've grown to love the Unova roster that little bit more, and also the story in Gen 5 just helps you kind of warm to the characters a little bit more as well. So we're going to go through my top 10 favorite Unova Pokemon. Number 10, Gigalith. Okay, this thing gets points straight away for its shiny version alone. Like, it looks cool in the blue and red, but when it goes all cyberpunk on us, it looks incredible. On top of that, it's an absolute physical beast with 130 base defense and 135 base attack. Not to mention, in double battles, it's a fantastic sandbringer because it just sits there as a big physical plug, because it kind of butt plug shape. It sits there as a big like physical plug, sat in the way. Difficult to take down if you don't have a special attacker that's pretty adept on your team and can cause all kinds of problems. I think the only thing I dislike about Gigalith is its Pokedex entries make no sense, right? So, let's have a look at the Pokedex entries for like Pokemon X and Y. So, the solar rays it absorbs are processed in its energy core and fire as a ball of light. Compressing the energy from its internal core lets it fire off an attack capable of blowing away a mountain. Now, these entries are all well and good because they explain that Gigalith is a Pokemon that can do attacks. It forms energy and uses them as attacks. That's totally understandable. But when you go further down, you find the blasts of energy it makes from sunbeams have terrifying power. However, it's not able to fire its blasts at night or on rainy days. And that's just not true. There is nothing in the mechanics of Pokemon that says that Gigalith can't use its attacks or like any, like, we're not just talking about like, oh, well, maybe 1 or 2 are exceptions and that's what it means. Well, no, there are no attacks that are normally usable by Gigalith that can't be used when it's raining or can't be used at night. There are literally, I don't think there are any moves, I'm almost 100% sure, so I'm putting my career on the line for this. I don't think there are any attacks that Gigalith uses where the game goes,
no, it's nighttime, we can't use this attack.
The Pokedex information for Gigalith is just bollocks. But I love it still. Number 9, Heatmore. I love its design. I love its abilities. It gets Gluttony, it gets Flash Fire, it gets White Smoke. They're all great. I feel like it could be so much better. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's someone that will be down in the comments that will be saying, I use Heatmore all the time and it's really super effective. It's fantastic in battle. Really like it. In general, compared to all the other Pokemon there are, it just suffers because it's slow and it's not completely fragile, but it's not exactly bulky. So it really struggles to last particularly long in battle. I know Gluttony will help, but it's not the greatest Pokemon. And it's a shame because I love it so much. I think a Pokemon with that cool of a design has such potential to be so amazing. And you know when you love something, but you just want it to be so much better? That's me and Heatmore. I want Heatmore to be better. I want Heatmore to not be a good Pokemon that a few people, like a handful of people go, oh yeah, that's a cool Pokemon, I use it quite a lot. I want it to be a Pokemon where everybody likes it and everybody goes, wow, make sure you've got a Heatmore on your team, and it's just not the case. But don't worry, Heatmore, because I love you, and that's what matters really, isn't it? I mean, it does on this list, obviously. Number 8, Galvantula. Let's get the negatives out the way first. Why is Swarm its hidden ability? Why would you give a Pokemon as their hidden ability, i.e. the ability that is probably the hardest ability to obtain on that Pokemon, I mean, especially in Sword and Shield, why would you give that Pokemon the hidden ability Swarm? Especially when it does so much better using Compound Eyes, for example. But that stupid decision aside, I love me some Galvantula. It's quick, it's got decent special attack, it's a cool looking Pokemon. It's exactly how you'd want an electric type Tarantula to look. Like, it's just so perfectly designed for what it is, for what it needs to be, for what it needs to represent, and it's so cool, and well done to them for designing it, because it's one of the coolest looking Pokemon in the Unova roster. Its typing of Bug and Electric is really, really cool, because of course, it means that it's only weak to Rock and Fire and has no 4x weaknesses. Bug and Electric is just one of those type combinations that works so perfectly, and obviously fits the theme of the, the Electric Tarantula. It's fantastic stuff. It evolves from Joltik, who is one of the most adorable Pokemon out there, and it's just a well-designed Pokemon all round. Like, I can't think of many flaws for Galvantula. It's really effective at what it needs to do, and it just exists in this perfect little bubble of being bloody great. Number 7, Accelgor. This may end up being the list that I've done that has the most bug types in it without being a top 10 bug types, because Accelgor is another example of a fantastic bug type Pokemon. It's a super fast Pokemon, like it's blindingly fast. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the Pokedex that isn't a legendary or isn't a mega evolution. It also gets Unburden, which is a fantastic ability where once your held item's used up, your speed is doubled. It also gets Hydration, but then I'm more keen to go with Unburden, to be honest. I use it on my Hitmonlees and I use it on my Accelgors because Accelgor is just great, and it does its best work when it's hitting first and not having to worry about taking hits from the opponent because it's just chopping them down. When you see it in the Pokemon world and you realize it's kind of small, you're like, okay, not that intimidating. But when you just see it in a picture, you're like, dude, that thing looks mean. That looks horrible. Maybe that thing will try and kill me at a lightning fast pace. And that's exactly what it's out there trying to do. Accelgor, you're bloody brilliant. And your shiny's pretty cool too. Number 6, Cofagrigus. I've talked before about my fascination as a kid with ancient Egypt, anything to do with ancient Egypt, any texts, all their like society and things like that, all the hieroglyphics, everything, the tombs, the temples, you name it. Freaking Pharaoh on the PC. What a bloody game. I spent hours playing the demo of that because I couldn't afford the full version, but I did really well in the demo. So to find a Sarcophagus Pokemon is just an absolute bonus. It is fantastic. It looks the part, it looks evil, it kind of looks like a cross between a Sarcophagus and the monster Creeps from Final Fantasy VIII, which is also really cool because that's one of my favorite games, like, of all time. It gets the ability Mummy, which is just a great troll ability because you can obviously just go around removing people's very important abilities, and that's just a fantastic option to have. It's just a wonderful, wonderful Pokemon. It makes me eager to catch a Yamask in any game that it's available in because I want a Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus is really, really cool. Number 5, HAXORUS. What's to say? It's a badass dragon with an axe for a face. Granted, design-wise, I like Fracture a little more. I think Fracture's got a little bit more personality and character because it looks like it's wearing a little hoodie. But at the same time, in terms of just power and just mold breaker ability and just looking cool, having an incredible shiny, HAXORUS absolutely takes the cake. What a wonderful pure dragon-type Pokemon HAXORUS is. It's what I use instead of Garchomp in a team when I don't want to have a 4x ice weakness, because it basically can do everything that Garchomp can do, just looking meaner and also not having the 4x ice weakness. Although I still love Garchomp, so let's not get into a contest here. Garchomp still wins over HAXORUS for me for some reason, but at the same time, it doesn't make me love this thing any less. HAXORUS is an absolute boss. Number 4, Crustle. If you'd have asked me back in 2013 when I got back into Pokemon, if I ever thought that a Crustle could ever be this high in a top 10 list, I'd have called you an idiot. I'd have said it's a stupid rock bug hermit crab thing and it looks stupid. I don't like it. Why has it just got a big square, perfectly cubicle is what you do a poo in at the toilets. Cubic. It has a big cube of rock on its back and it's just not for me. It's not interested in it. Fast forward 6 years and here we are, me showing my absolute love for Crustle. Obvious shout outs to Nomad, who was an MVP in an Alpha Sapphire quadlock back in the day, which some of you won't even remember, which is really bizarre. We're getting to that point where I've been on YouTube too long and like people are people are now too young to remember videos I've made in the past and series that I've done. Like, there are people who won't remember Bellatrix. I'm having a crisis, and now is not the time. As we've proven, it can be a very effective battler, especially with its incredibly high defense stat, and of course, it has a decent attack stat, which coupled with Rock Wrecker can be really, really effective, although do be a bit careful using a move with a recharge turn like Rock Wrecker on a sturdy Pokemon, because basically you'll be like, yay, I survived sturdy! And then, you know, you get knocked out on the next turn because you haven't moved. Let's also not forget that Crystal did get a 10 base power increase in attack in Generation 7 to make it a little bit more effective in battle. I don't use it as often as I use other Pokemon in battle because I feel like you really need to fit it into a very specific team for it to be the most effective. But at the same time, I've got all the time in the world to talk about Dwebble. Crystal. Fuck. I keep doing that. I get their names mixed up still, though, apparently. Number 3, Krookodile. Krookodile is one of those Pokemon that just has it all. It's got cool abilities. It gets Intimidate. It can get Moxie, 2 of my absolute favorite abilities. It looks incredibly cool. It looks like an absolute monster. It looks like an absolute boss. It looks mean, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It has a ton of power behind it. It's just one of those super duper wonderful Pokemon that can be so effective on so many different teams. I mean, we've seen a lot of Krookodile over the years just absolutely wreck house. Krookodile is one of those Pokemon that I just think, if someone wants to get into using a big angry bruiser of a Pokemon, during a story playthrough at least, get your hands on a Krookodile. You'll never have difficulty in the story mode of a game if you've got a Krookodile on your team, unless you're playing a randomizer and something really unexpected happens. Because that can happen. Krookodile just wins on so many levels for being such a cool Pokemon. And I know I've overused the word cool when talking about Krookodile, but it is just so incredible. It's so great, it's so scary, it's so intimidating, and it's just one of my favorite designs from Unova. Number 2, Escavalier. So let's just get this straight. This is a Carablast that has stolen everything good about Shelmet on its way across through the trade. I mean, obviously, Excelgor did fine on the other end when it lost its armor. You know, it became super duper fast and really, really badass. But Escavalier got the armor, got steel typing to make it super duper resistant to so many different things. Sure, it's 4 times weak to fire, but that's its only weakness, which is, you know, as long as you're protecting it against fire, it's going to be a-okay. It's slow, but it's got beastly attack, which means that you can put a Quick Claw on it and absolutely wreck house with it, because it's just an absolutely disgusting bruiser of a Pokemon. If you ignore Swarm, it gets fantastic abilities like Overcoat, its hidden ability, which protects it against weather conditions, although it's already protected against Sandstorm because it's a steel type, but it's then protected against hail damage as well, and it's protected against Spore, which is wonderful because a sleeping Escavalier is a dead Escavalier, basically. Its design also gives me a little bit of a Robot Wars vibe, which is why I tend to call mine Kill a lot all the time. Big fan of Robot Wars back in the day, and Escavalier just really reignites that love because it looks like a cool kind of homemade robot thing, even though that's not really what it's based on. I kind of want to start like deliberately pronouncing Escavalier as Escavalier, just to see if people get pissed off, because people are really anal about that stuff. So from now on, it's Escavalier. Escavalier, I love you, dude. Number 1, Chandelure. I've talked about Chandelure a million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, however million, billion, illion times. Chandelure's beautiful. Chandelure is the perfect inanimate object Pokemon. It looks like the source material, it looks like a Pokemon, like a creature, all blended into one, and it's so wonderfully effective. Ghost and Fire is one of my favorite type combinations. I really, really like Ghost and Fire. Maybe I'll do a video about my favorite type combinations at some point. I don't know. Does that sound boring? It sounds boring to me, but does it sound good to you? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. But Ghost and Fire is definitely up there. It's a wonderful pairing. Chandelure works so well in battle. Like, I have a wonderful time with my Chandelure with an air balloon to protect it against ground just a little bit, because some people tend to go straight for the Earthquake when they see a Chandelure, and I'm like, no, 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 air balloon it, mate. And then, of course, you've got Will-O-Wisp, you've got Hex, you've got Confuse Ray maybe, you've got Energy Ball, you've got Shadow Ball maybe instead of Hex, I don't know. You got Flamethrower, or you could go Fire Blast, but I don't trust those not 100% accurate moves. I'd rather just get 2 hits with Flamethrower instead of a missed Fire Blast and then a Fire Blast, do you know what I mean? Chandelure is another one of those Pokemon that has a wonderful shiny variant as well. It's absolutely beautiful. Whether you go for the regular version, the regular black and purple, or you go for the black and orange wonderful Chandelure as well, you're going to have a great time either way. Chandelure is just so great, and I'm so glad that Unova was there to introduce us to this wonderful Pokemon. So that's my list of my top 10 Pokemon from Unova. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite Pokemon from Unova are. And of course, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and don't forget, use code ACE for 30% off GFUEL until the 26th of December. But until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.